faith, family, business, adventure. This is the Phoenix Podcast with Ken Sharpe.
Good evening and welcome to the Phoenix Podcast Show with truly yours, Ken Sharpe. We're excited on this season 2, the final episode. And tonight, as our guest, we're honored to have Ringisai Runyowa. Welcome, Ringisai.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us tonight. Ringisai is a young visionary leader, strategist, founder, and group chief executive officer of Probfix. I believe that's Problem Fix. Yes. Probfix Holdings Limited, a Zimbabwean-based investment holding company whose main subsidiary is Probfix Financial Services, a registered microfinance institution. You also have interests and aspirations in other than money transfer agency, remittance and foreign currency exchange, but also processing, operation of asset management and real estate business. And we'd love to hear all about it. So tell us, how did this start? Take us back to the beginning.
Thank you so much, Ken, for having me once again. So my name is Ringisai Runyowa. My alias name is Rin Ron Ran. So it's just a shortcut for my names. So basically, Ringisai was born back in 1991. That makes me 32, getting into 33 this year. So I was born to Evelyn Mdozi and Alexio Runyowa, born out of wedlock. So I would say I'm a crime child. I was born out of wedlock. So unfortunately, I lost my parents when I was about 9. I lost my mother, I think, back in 2000. I used to stay here in Harare, in the ghetto, Budiro to be specific. I also did my primary school, grade 1 and 2.
So can I slow you down? Just tell us, where were you staying when you lost your parents?
Okay,
so... With your mom or dad or...?
Okay, so I was staying with my mom. I remember I said I was born out of wedlock. Yes. So pretty much she was a single lady. Okay. So it was a single mom arrangement of some sort. So we were staying together in our one room in Budiriro, where I also did my primary. So when she then died, we then were told to go to Kumusha in the rural areas, like it is the norm, especially for orphans. So I had to go there and try to adapt to the rural environment where you're used to these lights and all of a sudden life takes a twist on you. But you know what, I just had to adjust. Unfortunately, when I was there, I had gone to my maternal mother's side. So when all was concluded that she had died, I was then forced to go to my paternal side. Unfortunately, I didn't know them. It was my first time to meet my paternal side of things. But my mother is already late now. I'm just left with a father who was also ailing at that time.
So was this the first time you met your father?
Not really. My father, I had always been in comms with him. Okay. Here and there, you'd come home, would see him. Yeah. So he then facilitated that we go to his rural home. That is in Mondoro Mbaira. I'm so proud of where I come from. So we then went there. I must thank my guardian who then took me, Gogo Wiska Runyowa and Jega Runyowa, Titus Runyowa. They were grannies back then in their 70s and 80s. So they said, you know what, their mother is late. Let me just adopt them. They were not like the real paternal parents, but they then decided to say, because there is another wife, let's just take these kids. So we were then taken in. I must thank them because they did what they could do for me to achieve what I was supposed to. But like any other granny who is in the rural areas, life was difficult for them to an extent that at times I would go to school without shoes. Uniform was really a luxury, not to mention a lunch pack. It was really a luxury. And like any other kid in the rural areas who would walk, I think about plus or minus 5 kilometers to where I learned, Guamombe Primary School. And I had stayed...
so we're talking 5 kilometers there and 5 kilometers back?
Yes.
10 Ks a day.
10 Ks a day. So we would run. I think that's where probably we got our resilience. So I then took it that that's my life. I just have to adapt. You know, trying to head cattle, trying to head goats. You know, with goats, they are the difficult of all the animals that you can then head. So, but yeah, I then started enjoying it. They had to cancel me. You know what? Life happens. You just have to start from where you are now and live. At least they took me as if I was their own child, and I loved it. Everything that they ate, we ate, despite the fact that at times they couldn't afford one or two items. Thank God I was a bit sharp in school, but prior to going there, I had spent, I think, a full term without going to school. So my grandfather, who was a sabuk, then a headman in our rural community, then went to Guamombe Primary School to look for a place for me. And I remember vividly, it was on the 20th of November, 2000. I was in grade 3 then. So the headmaster then said, but the kid he hasn't been in school for quite a long time now. How are you then expecting him to write an exam? They said, we believe in him. Don't worry, you will do well. And straight away, I went into an exam room. I participated in the exams, and when the results came, I then was number 8. Yeah, it's a new yes. Without studying, it's a new environment. I'm trying to adjust. You know, with trying to adjust with friends and everything. I was number 8, and I'm like, wow, okay. And yeah, next term I'm now number 2, number 3, number 1. Long story short, in 2004, when I was now in grade 7, I was now.
So you caught up? You skipped a year from grade 3 to grade 7?
No. I didn't skip. No, yeah, I said to cut the long story short, I then was appointed a school head boy. But remember, I had a tough background where almost everything is a luxury to me. School uniform is a luxury. Shoes are even a luxury as well. So what I used to do, I would borrow school uniform, school shoes from friends. When I have a function, you know, when you want to receive guests, be it officials from the education ministry, I would borrow and then do my presentation. When we want to do dramas and the theater arts, would also borrow. Yeah, so it really didn't deter me because back home I had a strong support system who believed in me despite the circumstances that they were currently in. Yeah, so that was my life in the rural areas. I then passed my my grade 7. Then my brother, who was left here in Harare, then decided to take me back to Harare. And it was like, wow, now I'm going back to where I belong. So, you know, with the excitement, I had to come back in Harare. So I stayed with my brother and his wife. Yeah, but yeah.
And you went to school in Harare?
Yes, then I did my Form 1 in Glenview One High School. Special thanks to Glenview One High School for accommodating me. But they didn't want anyone who was not from within their region. So I was from the rural areas. Yet, yes, I had a good grade, but they were saying, you know what, we'll first prioritize those who are from the Glenview district. So, yeah, I was then given a last class. So we were among those. So obviously I could shine because intelligence wasn't an issue. So, but back home now, I then were experiencing challenging times because, you know, with the extended family at times, it's really difficult, traumatic in certain circumstances. So I used to hide my fears, my sadness in reading quite a lot. So I would read a lot of academic books to just make sure that I hide from my fears as well as my sadness. So, but I thank them really for what they did. It is what it is. There are circumstances. Life has to move on.
Would you mind sharing with us some of those difficult moments? What kind of daily challenges did you have to deal with?
Okay, so I remember when I used to stay in Kwadzana Extension. So because I really liked Glenview High School, I believed I could pass at that school. And I used to ride a bicycle from Kwadzana Extension to Glenview, which is a distance, I think, of about 15 kilometers. So I would do 15 kilometers to Glenview, 15 kilometers back. So about 30 kilometers, but I'm in Harare. So yeah, that was one of the most challenging and difficult things that I faced. And those social challenges that you frequently face at home, your brother is trying to stay with you, but it's not permitting. But look, I would say, look, I can't afford to go back in the raw areas because my dreams and all my aspirations will be shattered even worse. So what I can only do with this situation is just to endure. At least if I endure up to a certain extent, at least what I want is just to pass. If I pass, I fend for myself. So I would say growing up, I always admired growing up. Not because I didn't appreciate the life of a child, but to escape the challenges that I think I faced during that time. Yeah. So
you became a young adult.
I became a young adult. Yes, I became a young adult because at times I would go to school without eating. So I come from a Christian background. Fasting really isn't a
difficult.
Thing. It isn't difficult because I would go to school without eating and still come back. But to me, it wasn't an issue. You know, with our patriarchal society, men or boys are used to not to do household chores. But I would do everything to just make sure that at least I buy the time so that I can be seen to be someone who is behaving. I think I would say I wasn't that of a problematic child. Because all I would do, ask, what should I do? Get all my daily tasks, finish them, then escape to my books so that at least I can then learn for me to pass. That was the major goal. I believed that education was the only tool that was going to sort of like solve this quandary of mine that I had.
How old were you when you made up that decision?
I would say my life is pre-planned. Of course, when I was in grade 5, that's about what? 12, about 10, 11 years there. I planned my life to say, you know what, I was back in the raw areas. So I said, you know what, one day I'm going back to Harare and by hook and crook, I'm going to be at the university. And my sekuru, my uncle, back then he was a sub-book, may he so rest in peace. He would admire me to say, one day I want to see you at the university because of your intelligence. So you would do anything within his means to making sure that anything education you would try to afford, even if he didn't have. So yeah, I had already planned it, but you know, life is a process, life is a journey. So it was then reinforced when I then started coming across these situations when I was in my secondary education. So yeah, I would thank my friends at school who would console me at times. You know what, it happens. You just have to be brave. You just have to be resilient. Very soon we will be over and done with this situation.
What a story. Ringisai, hold on to that thought. We're going to take a short commercial break and we'll be back. But can you imagine from Kumusha running, not walking, 10 kilometers a day, to being now the CEO of a very successful business with 10 branches and the head office at Mercury House here in Harare CBD. Thank you.
Faith, family, business, adventure. This is the Phoenix Podcast with Ken Sharpe. Faith, family, business, adventure. This is the Phoenix Podcast with Ken Sharpe.
So Ringisai, take us back to, you're now in Harare. You've set your mind on where you're going when you're only 10 years old.
Yes.
And you're committed to get back to Harare. You've made sure you're back in Harare now. You're at school, you're at high school, Form 1 or Form 2. And you're sitting doing your daily chores as quickly as you can to get them over with so you can go back to the books.
Yes.
What was your thought in your mind? How old were you then when you started really focusing on your future?
I think I was now 13, 14, because I knew that if I don't really fight for this, it was going to be difficult for me. You know, my background or my surrounding, my environment was that if you don't become a windy, if you don't become a housemaid, a builder, or a truck driver, there's no future for you. So I really wanted to defy that, to say I can make it. Because back in Kumusha, I like the story of Kumusha. Why? Because the people there so much believed in me. I would get nicknames that you are a headmaster, you are a governor, you are a minister, at times you are a pastor. So I really wanted to make sure that I achieve all those names that they were calling me back in Kumusha.
And were you thinking about them? Or like maybe they're not watching you physically, but they're looking up to you and you got to do it for them?
Definitely, definitely. If you go onto my socials, everyone from the clan says, we are proud of you, son. Wow. Please go ahead. Keep on doing what you're doing. The whole clan is excited about you. Yeah, because it's an area that not so many people have sort of like made it in life, even up to university. Yes, there are one or two, but not the ambitious ones like us. Yeah, so I would always think of those guys. At the same time, would say, if I then go back, probably now I would then walk 20 kilometers. Because at high school, you then walk probably 10 going, 10 coming back. So I just had to enjoy in the city center because of the lights and everything. Probably and a little bit of internet and technology during our time. So I really made up my decision. At school, I was doing practical subjects, your woodwork, but I then was introduced to accounting by a friend. I didn't really like it, but his father was working for a certain insurance company, a big insurance company. So they would participate on the stock exchange. So he introduced us to the stock exchange at that tender age. To say, guys, you know, you can buy shares. During that time, they used to receive share certificates right by their doorsteps. So we'd read through, so this is a share, whatever. So I got so fascinated with reading those share certificates and everything that came. So he was very good with accounting. So he had to teach me accounting, and I started loving it. So yes, he taught me. So then I then would teach him after he had taught me what his father, who was an accountant, then he had
They
taught
say
him.
that's the best way to learn.
Yes,
Stephen
yes.
Covey said the best way to learn is to teach someone.
Definitely, definitely, sure. So that's where I would say I was now trying to shape my life. I really wanted to be an accountant. Unfortunately, during that time, that's when the 2007-2008 era happened to all of us in Zimbabwe, where teachers would not come to school. So we really depended on self-start, and others would go to extra lessons if they could afford. But in my case, it was different. I couldn't afford. I couldn't get the money to go to those extra lessons. Or I didn't want to give anyone the burden to say, I now want extra. I just wanted the basics so that at least I won't be chased back to Komosha. So so I would do self-start to make sure that at least I pass. So when we then set for our O-levels back in 2008, I passed with B's, but I was aiming for A's. But thank God I passed. So I said, you know what? We are now going to the next stage of life, advanced level. So then that's when then life began to unfold to me to say, oh, so this thing is now happening to me. At least if I finish, I will then go to university where my uncle used to say you should go. I just wanted to make him proud because you know what, it's not easy for someone to just adopt you. Then you are not their child, but they decide to say, I'm going to do anything within my powers to making sure that you see it to university. So I then did my A-levels at Kwadzana One High School. I'm so proud of that school. So at that school, they also then identified a talent in me. They said, you know what, we want to make you a school journalist. So I would report, so I was made a school gossiper. So I would report anything and everything that happens in sports, arts, and I'll go everywhere. If it's junior parliament, I'll go there with my notepad, scribbling everything that would have happened. Then on Monday, I would then read the news to everyone in school. So it then made me to be more confident, and I would hide again in those storytelling and that journey that I was now taking of being a journalist, but I was doing commercials. So yes, everyone would usually like the conversation that I was airing to them on assemblies. So it developed my confidence, even my character, so everyone in school would love me. And my teachers were all proud of me. Unfortunately, in A-level, I was then not made a school prefect because I was a school journalist. But I was just like them because, you know what, I had all the privileges. You can do A, B, C, D, because they knew I could deliver. So with A-level, I then managed to pass as well. But not so that I wanted. I had about 14 points.
That's very good.
Thank you. So
that's the top 1%.
Yes, but now
you wanted better.
I wanted better. I wanted 15 points. You know what? The school that I wanted, the university that I wanted to go to, the University of Zimbabwe, would only take straight 3 A's at A-level for you to get the accounting degree. So my hope was shattered because I didn't attend that. It was only for ladies who could get in through the 14 points. So that's when then I coined saying that it's those who are good at Plan B who will make it in life. So I then decided to go to maybe before that. When I passed my A-level, I was a relief teacher at Kwadzana One High School. I taught geography there and Shona at times. And I would also then assist other A-level students because I had done a bit of some A's, so at least they would listen to me because I had made it. So I had some savings. Which savings I never took a single cent to buy any luxury because all I wanted was to go to university. That was the dream. No matter that it wasn't enough to take me through the 4 years. So I saved everything. Thank God the whole paycheck came through once because if you join the government, at times they then pay you all your 3 months' money at once. So at least they saved money for me. So now that I have failed to get a degree that I wanted at the University of Zimbabwe, I then decided, now what, my dreams have been shattered. I really needed to be an accountant. I always admired to be a chartered accountant. I thought that was the only way to get into the corporate world. But then I negotiated with my brother then, who had given me to say it can only be used and nothing else. I then negotiated with him to say, you know what, I really need to go to university. I've got this friend of mine who think NAST is also the best in the land. Can I please go? Because I had some little savings, I then said, you know what, I have my money. I can just go there and I will do whatever that I need to do for me to survive. Thank God he agreed. Then I took a bus to Bulawayo to look for a place. And everyone, he had already gotten a place at the National University of Science and Technology. You're new there, the language is new, you're trying to navigate through the whole system. It was a challenge. But I just said to go to the administration to say, you know what, guys, these are my results. I just delayed coming to look for a place. Can you at least please allow me? I'm looking for accounting. I want to do. They all denied my application. And I'm like, hey, now what? What do I do? So I was then advised to go to the Department of Finance, where they then said, you know what, the only program that is now left is that of fiscal studies. Fiscal studies is a degree that deals with public policy, tax issues, administration of taxes and the likes. And I didn't really know about it during that time. So, because I didn't really have anyone to ask, then I said to my brother, you know what, he was a truck driver, by the way. So I asked him, there is this program at NAS that's saying it's about tax. So in all his mind, he was saying, okay, so it's those guys who are at the borders. So you can go in and start doing and whatever. And I was like, okay, I want that one. I want that.
He saw the money, right?
Yeah, he saw the money. Yeah, so long story short, I then enrolled within the Department of Finance. Then I studied fiscal studies for 4 years. But in college now, life was now different. Yes, my brother would support here and there, but it was not adequate. So to try and fend for myself, to supplement, you know, you've got a girlfriend, you're now at a tertiary institution, you also need to supplement. I then did what I think was not supposed to be done by any college student. I then started selling sweets, biscuits, and everything. So I became a vendor in college. And everyone at first would laugh to say, oh, look at this guy. This is what he's now doing and the likes. But my focus was to say, you know what, I've already planned my life. What I want to do in future is to just become a businessman, at least so that I can emancipate myself. At least I can escape all these childhood traumas that I had experienced. So I started vending in college, would sell sweets, so that at least I can buy airtime for my girlfriend then, and to try and then fend for my my rentals at times, to print my assignments and a whole lot that I couldn't then keep on saying, guys, I now need this. You know, I've already been a burden. So I just tried to shift the burden at least to me. So I would say that's where my journey of entrepreneurship then started. So every time I would approach people to say, I'm selling this, they would love it. Can you bring us more? Can you bring us something else different? So that gave me the courage also to say, you know what? So if people can buy from me and they are not despising me, I should just go ahead and it's sort of like reinforce this idea. So I then upgraded the hustle to selling refurbished perfumes. So I was known as the perfumes man as well in college. Yes, I've been a sales agent from some technology companies. Would go to university, convince people, you know what, you can buy this printer, you can buy this laptop, this is the latest in town. I would bring a client to them and I would get my commission. So that's how I used to then survive in university, and I then liked it. Right. What then kept me going was the Christian environment that I was in at college. Special thanks to AFM on campus. Then it was a grouping which, as young people, would then come together and pray and probably cancel each other that, you know what, it's only 4 years. Very soon we'll have made it. So I really thank them because they put us in the right direction, you know, with all the privileges, with all the time in the world in university, engaging in drugs, or even to have multiple sex partners and the likes. We could do that, but we didn't do that because of that particular grouping. And also they would also encourage us, they would also give us projects. It was a university-led, youth-led initiatives at school. So we would say we want to do conferences, we want to do ABCD. What do we do? Let's raise money. Let's do awareness programs and at least convert people to Christ, and which we want to raise champions. That's their motto even right now. We want to raise champions for Christ. So I thank God probably I'm one of them. So we would get projects, and so we would do it diligently and wholeheartedly, knowing that it is for the good cause. So, yeah, so apart from that, I also then thought of an idea. What else? What sort of impact can I also make apart from just soul winning and everything? Then I founded a charity organization. It was Charity, which I mobilized everyone at university. You know what? We have got this program. We want to be donating in orphanages to making sure that we are seen to be representing our university quite well as NAST then. So I formed the NAST charity organization, where we would just buy your stationery and donate to orphanages which were within Blawayo there. So it would satisfy me, because the other thing, as I was growing up facing these challenges of school and the likes, I always wanted a scholarship. Say, at least if I get a scholarship, my life will be sorted. But I never got a chance to get that one. So I then made it a point that now and in future, I'm going to have scholarships for people who probably might have the same background. However, mine will be different in the sense that I'm looking at empowering the next entrepreneur to at least alleviate the poverty, to at least grow Zimbabwe. I believe we are the people who can turn around whatever that is happening within our country. We are the youth. We are responsible for changing the narrative for our people.
That's beautiful. Hold that thought. We'll be back shortly from this commercial. Thank you.
Faith, family, business, adventure. This is the Phoenix Podcast with Ken Sharpe. Faith, family, business, adventure. This is the Phoenix Podcast with Ken Sharpe.
So Ringisai, you say that being a Christian is important to you. I'd like you to share with us a bit about your faith. Where did it start from? How did it grow? And how did you become to believe in God so much that you have a Deuteronomy 15:6 that governs you in your business today, which I'd like you to share with us also.
Okay. So my faith, I would attribute it to my mother, who then told me, you know what, son, you really need God in your life, especially when she was now ailing, sick to an extent that we were now seeing that it's now almost like certain that she's going to die. So, you know, with our African culture, people tell you what they think will happen in your future before they die. And yes, it's been some 24 years now she's been dead. But some of the concept that she taught me, even selling, even this Christian life. So she would introduce me to Sunday school. You know what, you need to go to church and don't go against the word of God. So growing up, one thing that has carried me forward is faith. I just believe. So related to business, I mix faith and risk, taking risks. I just say to myself, you know what? Everything has to be possible. For the word itself, says I'm possible. Yes. So, and even prayer, it says pray without ceasing. Because I believe God probably is the only person who can always be there for you, even in hard times. So even during the time when I was traumatized, I would pray, I would sing praises to say, you know what, God, you are there. I know you are there. But yes, I'm in this situation. So it really strengthened my faith to say, you know what, even not getting the right degree that I wanted during that time, I still pray to God to say, you know what, you know what's best for me. So it really helped my Christian life, and everything that I would pray for would then happen, unfold as I had prayed for. So I then said, oh, so this one, it works. So it works. So one of my prayers that I used to pray when I was at school was, God, please make me a distribution channel. By being a distribution channel, I was trying to trick God to say, if you make me a distribution channel, there's no way you are going to make me a distribution channel without me benefiting. Yes, yes. So yeah, that was one of my prayer points that I also used to do at university. So I then wanted to then practice those things, even by forming those charity organizations, by doing a whole lot of things that
So
were
to
that
be
were faith
blessed,
aligned.
to be a blessing to others.
Definitely,
I love
sure.
that. And the substance of faith is really to hope in things that you don't see.
Definitely.
And that's the story
Hebrews
of your
11.
life, right? So
Definitely.
tell us, how did you get from nothing to being now wanting to lend money, not borrow money, but lend money? This is where Deuteronomy 15:6 comes from. Maybe you can
Yes.
tell us the verse so I can read it if you want.
Yeah, okay. You can probably read it
So
for
it
me.
says, when the Lord your God blesses you, as he has promised you, then you will lend to many nations, but you will not borrow. And you will rule over many nations, but they will not rule over you.
Exactly. So that verse was inspired by when I was doing my other business. So before engaging into the financial service business, I tried a whole lot of businesses, hustles or businesses which were not really businesses, because I believe a business would then need to make an impact. You also need to employ people and the likes.
So tell us about I believe you tried the logistics and trucking industry.
Yes.
And it failed.
It failed.
So
yes.
tell us what went wrong and what happened there.
Good. So in trucking business, I had a trucking business. I had told myself when I was working that, you know what, come what may, I'm not going to keep on being employed past the age of 30. So as a side business, when I was working for a certain financial institution in town, I was then doing trucking business. So within the trucking business, I did everything that I think or I thought was right in terms of trying to run that particular business. However, that business is a capital-intensive business to an extent that you really need to have all your savings put up to making sure that at least you generate the much-needed business. I'll give you an example. If you've got one truck and you're competing with someone who've got maybe 30 trucks or so, you can get a contract, but the buyer will tell you, I want 300 metric tons moved within a period of a week, but you only have 30 tons. So what do you do? You then end up being subcontracted by someone else. And that someone else, if they are not straightforward, you end up working for them. So we would invoice as a business, we would invoice a lot. But unfortunately, because we had a lot of middlemen, you know, with our country, we now have a middleman for anything and everything. So they would delay our payments, and that then led the business to suffocate. But I had pushed it to an extent of trying to buy 2 haulage trucks straight from America with the little savings and the financial intelligence that I had done to make sure that at least I acquire those properties, including borrowing. So I'm a guy, I'm the money background where I am coming from. So I don't have the money. What do? I started all my businesses, or some of my business then, from other people's money. So
I'm laughing. I went to Harvard Business School. I did what's called OPM,
Okay.
Owner President Management. We studied 142 case studies in 3 years, about 4,000 pages of business cases of the world's most famous businesses. And halfway through my study, a good Indian friend of mine says, my brother, do you know what OPM stands for? I said, of course I know. He says, it's not owner president management, it's other people's money.
That's a
Because
good one.
all the cases we did was always about other people's money.
Yes, definitely, yes. So yeah, I embraced that concept as well. Then, so the only thing that I possess is trust. trust is the currency of my business. If you give me money, I see to it that I have repaid you. So I made a name within the financial world to a certain extent that I would mobilize people to say, guys, let's do rounds, the stock values. Let's do stock values. But my idea was just to start a business. So I would, when my time to receive my own stock value fund comes, I would not buy a stand. I would not do anything to feed my luxuries, but I'll think of a business to do. So I had gathered one or two resources that led me to buying those trucks. So I started with other people's money to start a business. I didn't have the money that was required, but only the trust that I had with that business. But now, with the challenges of trying to run a business with using other people's money, at times you then don't have excesses. But my business that I was running then needed me to have excesses so that if my contractors don't pay me in time, I'm able to feed again into the business. So I would say I dismally felt that business, and I just decided, you know what? Let me just sell these trucks. And even the hassles that comes with managing the business, with your employees.
You got out of it in time. How did you then start Probfix? Let's get into this story because we've got short on time, and I want you to tell the story of how you've grown it in
Good.
2 years, I believe.
Yes.
To 1,000 clients.
Yes.
70% are women. You employ over 40 people.
Yes. So the verse that you have just you read. One day, because I was struggling with the business, so I had to go, because I had that concept of using other people's money. So I would go from one financial institution to the other, trying to look for funding. And one day I went to a certain financial institution, and I was mistreated by one of their business development officer. I was just asking simple, what are your requirements? What do you do? And they made it as if it was a crime to come and borrow money, which at that point, when I was stepping out of their door, I promised myself that, you know what, when my God blesses me, I'm going to be the lender, I will not be able to borrow from anyone. So I thank that employee of that financial institution for pushing me too hard to form my own financial institution. Straight out of that, I then began to look for information as to how you can start a microfinance institution in Zimbabwe. Of course, my background, I am a banker, so I had other information about how to run it, how to do it, and the likes. And I did almost everything on my own, and I applied the Reserve Bank. We got the license. Long story short, our vision there was just to fix people's financial problems. Because I had a problem with finance, so I thought, you know what, let me just fix this problem. There is a gap, there is a need, and I believe business is it's about solving a problem that is within the context of any human being. And if everyone or anyone is to start a business and would want to succeed, they should solve a real problem. And you making money would depend on the complexity of the problem that you're trying to solve. And I then set my mind on the financial service industry, because I know, be it the economy is performing or it's not, people always have financial problems. So we thought, you know what, this is going to be a sustainable business model. So let's hit straight into it. Then we founded Probfix. And the catchy name, Probfix, is problem fixing.
That's great. So we've got 3 minutes left. Okay. I'm going to ask you 3 questions. The first question is, looking at where you came from, you're sitting here now as a man who actually has an MBA. You're a graduate with an MBA, right? Someone who came from Kamusha running 10Ks to school barefoot. The probability of it is very small. And you know accounting, you know mathematics. How do you explain that?
This can only be grace. This can only be the grace of God. Some of these things, you wonder, how have I reached to these levels? But in life, you also need people. People are very important in your life. You talk of mentors. You talk of people who root for you. I would attribute all what I have done to people. People are very important. Be it in business, your employees are the core of your business. So you should treat them well. I made it a point that wherever I go, I'll treat people well. even if we are in the business of lending money and it's difficult for some other people to repay when they are supposed to repay, we treat them respectfully to tell them that you are supposed to repay what you have borrowed from us. So people can make or break you.
Powerful. Next question. Looking back at your history, 9 years old, you lose both of your parents. That can break someone.
Yes.
But it built you. It gave you the resilience, the perseverance, and the fortitude to keep going.
Yes.
There's a famous professor from Harvard. He's the father of innovation.
Yes.
He wrote a book called How You'll Measure Your Life. And he says it's not what your parents do for you that makes you, but what they don't do for you. How do you relate to that in your own life?
I would relate to that in that I think my parents, or their death, couldn't stop me. Instead of them leaving some things for us, assets, they left us liabilities. You know, they planned our lives to say, can you make sure that your young brother see it to university? Which I'm doing even up to now. He's about to finish his university as well. Yes, thank you. So that tenacity, those little voices that they told us, even when we were kids, kept us going to say, we have got a mandate. We were given responsibilities or obligations even when we were young. So it's actually built us.
Third question, projecting into the future. Look into the camera and tell the audience. I heard you say by 2030, you'll have 750 people.
Yes.
What are you going to do by 2050? And what can you encourage? This program is a program about rising from the ashes, about telling stories of hope and inspiration, people who started in life with nothing.
I can only say you can do it. No matter your environment, no matter your background, you can do it. In business, you don't need money to start a business. You just need a solid vision. What is it that you want to do? And everything else will fall into place. I believe the young people of Zimbabwe are capable and are able to deliver the value that probably our government so requires us to do. As a government, they are not going to do anything for us. They are just a policy enabler. So we are the people, we are the youth. You look at Nigeria, you look at Kenya, even other West African countries. The youth, they are doing massive projects, even in your real estate. Some of them are creating cities from Norway. So these are young people, 29 years, 30 years, who are doing massive and bigger things. So as Zimbabweans, we just have to believe ourselves. This thing of flying out of our country, it's a no-brainer, because to me, we are the people who are supposed to be building this nation brick by brick, like Ken, my friend here, is eyeing to do, building our country. So 2050. I think I'm going to be the next, probably, or even more than the Strive CEO of this world.
The next billionaire banker.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Thank you for watching us tonight. It's been a privilege to have Ringisai and hear his story. Please like, follow, and share the story. Pay it forward. And remember, we are the Phoenix. We rise from the ashes. From nothing, you've heard it from the man himself, to a billionaire. We'll stay tuned and keep watching you. Thank you.
Faith, family, business, adventure. This is the Phoenix Podcast with Ken Sharpe.
ZTN Prime. Get the picture.